Hi, Cynthia. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing well. What's really interesting about specifically your character and her relationship with her siblings is, as someone who has a half brother, we were never allowed to consider him as such. That was our brother. And so in this movie, I kept cringing every time they talked about uh it just made me like, oh my God, no, you can't do that. That's your sister. And so I wanted to know for you as an actor, what was kind of the relationship like on set and building that sibling, not rivalry, but like the tension that exists within that family with both Kristen and Ben.
Yeah, it's interesting to think about what happens. Obviously, blended families very very common, or non-traditional families, and oftentimes I think in that instance, you can feel a sense of how you feel different within your own family, and you want your sense of family is something that you have a very idealized version of, and I think with this story and even with this namesake wedding in the title of the film, the wedding is the opportunity to sort of have a family dynamic that is perhaps not accurate and true to life, but it's a way to sort of have that feeling. But you need cooperation from your siblings if you're going to have that sort of picture perfect moment at the wedding. And so I think, the interesting thing is all the siblings feel a sense of, I'm dealing with something that my other siblings just wouldn't understand. But in the case of Eloise, there's definitely that feeling of, I feel estranged and different and separate. And that's not what I want. I want my family to be one big happy family. And there is that sense of resentment from her siblings. So it's interesting when you sort of understand that. And then it's another thing entirely to try and create that with other actors. And luckily, Kristen and Ben are both joyful, wonderful people to work with and know. So that part of it's easy. But I think, when it comes to that sense of, internally grappling with family dynamics, it's almost like that's sort of up to you as an individual to have that feeling of, I feel this way and my family doesn't understand me, or they don't know me the way I wish they did. So it's an interesting thing to play, and I think audiences are going to see that, and I think a lot of people will relate to that sense of feeling like an outsider within your own family.
Yeah, and Eloise is really interesting too, because when she snaps in the couple of times we get to see her finally just break, she just loses it in a way that is very relatable. Because it's like repress it, repress it, repress it, and then she's like, not anymore, stop messing up my wedding. And it's that it was really fun. And so what kind of drew you to her as a character in the first place? I wanted to made you want to be her.
I get you. I get what you're saying. Um, yeah, I mean, the character of Eloise, I think she's one of these women that's very aspirational. It's someone that you would see walking down the street and she doesn't have a hair out of place. And, she has all of her ish together. And, that's always fun to play. But then there's that other side of it, the side that, literally like a tea kettle just sort of like explodes. And that's also fun to play, and it's funny to play. But I think there's something definitely about sort of British culture and that idea of stiff upper lip and, kind of being very polite and not being sort of too overly effusive or kind of saying too much emotionally, that you have that contrast with her American family and sort of how in American culture it's a little bit different. So I think there's also a bit of that culture clash, which I think is great. And in the film, we filmed on location in London, and the story obviously is set in the UK. It's definitely a bit of a love letter to London in that sense, and so you do see that sort of Britishness, and sort of Eloise's Britishness, and I think a lot of people see that as just posh and perfect, and what could possibly be wrong. But the reality is like that's a lot to sort of keep up as a facade, and obviously Eloise, you will see her crack once or twice.
Thank you so much for talking with me today, and I can't wait for everyone to get to see the movie.
Thanks, me too.
Thanks.